Hey everybody, welcome to the Faith and Fandom Artists Alley Aftermath podcast. This one is for Captain's Comics Expo 2026. It's been a minute since I've done one of these, so if you are newer to listening or Faith and Fandom, usually we do a podcast reviewing Comic-Cons and our Comic-Con experiences. And this is technically the first Comic-Con of 2026. Last week, I did a youth ministry conference, and I actually started recording a Artist Alley Aftermath for it, and then I stopped for reasons. You can ask me about those later. But today, we're going to be talking about what I believe is my fourth or fifth journey to Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. They advertise it as Charleston's biggest Comic-Con, but technically it's in Mount Pleasant. But we're gonna let that be a secret. But it's a show that I've been doing for a few years now. I officiated Michael Watkins' wedding right at the end-ish of the pandemic, and I ended up sitting at the table in the reception with the dude who runs Captain's Comics Expo, and we got to talking, and I've been doing the show ever since. And there's a lot of great reasons to do it. It's only Charleston / Mount Pleasant. It's only like 2.5 hours from me. It's right on the waterway, beautiful view. You've got the I want to say Arthur something bridge. It's the bridge it's the bridge that goes over Cooper River. I walk that every year. There's a hotel literally in the same parking lot as the convention, and it's still small enough to be enjoyable. There's like 120 vendors, so there's enough, but not too many. And there's just people that you get to see and enjoy. And so it's a good experience. And I'm glad to do it every year. So yeah, let's start going through some stuff. So I have been planning this, coming back. I don't think I've actually done a for real show since October or November. Just because of life and how everything's been. Schedules and all the things. So I was excited to go do this. My youngest daughter, Carmen, was coming along for the journey with me, and she wasn't going to go at first, and I was kind of sad to go by myself because I'm really getting to the place in life where I don't necessarily enjoy going to shows by myself. I'm fine if people are meeting me there. I'm fine if I know people are hanging out with me, but I'm getting to the point where I'm just like, you know what? This sucks by myself. So trying to be better about that. Plus also, I'm not supposed to be doing crazy heavy lifting, which is hard to do when you carry around giant boxes of books and metal shelves. But I digress. So Carmen was going with me. I picked her up early from school and we headed out just a little early. But she has been nurturing her perfect attendance record, so she is so salty if even it looks like she might be counted absent, but we're all good. She's fine. She also was making ink pens, like decorative character-based ink pens, so she really wanted to go anyway for a chance to set up shop on her own for that. But yeah, we got in. We made the drive to Charleston pretty easily. Nothing too crazy. Stopped at Buc-ee's, did the normal things. It was a quiet drive, listened to music, still using my Microsoft Zune to provide all of my musical needs. And we made it 2 hours to 2 hours and 10 minutes, and no Forrest Frank came on, which made my daughter sad, so I let her listen to Forrest Frank for the last 20 minutes of the ride. We got there and, did our normal thing of loading in, and I went first, and, I've had the same table location probably for the last 3 years for sure. I think one point I was in a different spot, but for at least 3 years, maybe four, I've had the same spot. It's like dead center facing the stage. So I kind of knew where to go, but it checked in, and then Carmen and I just got to work on unloading and setting up t-shirts and everything else. And shout out to my friend Katie that helped pack all the shirts at the youth conference last week, because she helped me actually get the shirts in the tubs properly, which made Carmen's job way easier. But yeah, we started setting up and said hey to some folks as they came in, like John Hairston, and just saying hey to some folks. I got into a conversation with Mike, who runs the show, and we got to talking about Five Iron Frenzy and politics and people being political and stuff like that, because A, I was wearing a Five Iron Frenzy shirt. B, Five Iron is going to be playing 1 week from when I was talking to Michael, and I'm going to the concert. And so we were talking about that and politics and how it affects what we do and our businesses and stuff like that. And so we just had a long conversation about politics, it's fine. Eventually, I want to say we got done setting up. Probably took us about 2.5 hours to really get set up. And after that, we went to the hotel. Oh, also, when we got to our booth, there was already, no, was there already snacks? No, I'll say that was the next day. But we got to the hotel, which is literally just in the same parking lot, and we went and checked in, loaded up all our stuff, and I asked the lady at the front desk where she recommended eating, and she recommended this place called Kickin' Chicken, which is just kind of wings and chicken strips and stuff, but it was nice. And the Olympics were happening, and so curling with the USA and some country / team that the initials were SUI were playing in curling, and Carmen was mesmerized. She's like, what on earth are we watching? What is happening right now? And so we watched curling and ate chicken, and then we left there and we went to Baskin Robbins and got like a big scoop of ice cream. And then we did the thing that we always do. And also, it was really good timing with the rain and everything. The rain had stopped and all. But every year since the first time I've done this, I walk that bridge that crosses the Cooper River, which is like the inlet that runs out to the ocean near Charleston. And we walk to where the bridge is over land on the other side. So it's roughly about 1.5 miles, or a little over a mile and a half one way. So it's a 3-mile hike, but it's gorgeous. You can see things you can't see anywhere else. It's just a beautiful view. So we went and we hiked and we did all that. And it was good. And we, ate ice cream as we walked, and we talked about life, and we talked about getting older, and it was honestly, in a lot of ways, this was just a really good dad-daughter trip. And I'm really grateful for, because I know those are extremely limited. My oldest turned 18 the week before, so it's just a whole super weird vibe of getting older. We got hotel breakfast the next morning. Let's see, what did we do? After we walked the bridge, we were both exhausted and sweaty and did all that, but we got ready for bed. We had hotel breakfast the next morning. Pretty simple, just grateful that it was there and we didn't have to go get anything. We were already set up. So we started noticing things, and when we got to our table on Saturday, the Turners, who are family from that area, they help run the show, and they are generally the kindest people to us. I can pretty much blanket statement say they're the kindest people to us in South Carolina as a whole, for the state, maybe, but definitely the kindest people to us in the Charleston region. They had made a whole bag of snacks, and it was cool. I was watching Lynn, who's one of the Turners, making stuff on her Instagram story, and that she's making mochi and all this stuff. And I'm like showing Carmen as we're like walking the bridge. I was like, yo, these are some snacks they're making. And it was just neat for her to get to see. And but just to have this bag of blessings that when we walked in the door and Carmen's like, wait, this is for us? Why is this here? And I guess it had been a minute since she hasn't been there in 3 years. So, because I know that all 3 of my girls did it, and then I did it alone last year. And so this would be our 5th year, I think. Either way. But they had us a whole bag of snacks like mochi and candied pecans and chocolate chip cookies and all these things, and just to bless us when we get there. In fact, I ate some candied pecans like right before I started recording this. Finished those off. But we were getting set up to do a run around, and first of all, this is a different setup than I'd ever had before. Specifically, in some ways, I did some stuff with buttons, and I had my dead Yamcha painting, which I was going to have faced directly behind me, but the space was kind of narrow to put me in front of the shirt rack. And I'm going to say this is with no shade, shame, or direct negativity. I was beside the same people to my right that I was last year. And they were very sick last year. Like coughing, sneezing, all the things. And sure enough, as they were setting up their stuff on Saturday morning, they were already coughing, sneezing, and they sounded sick already. And I was like, you know what? No. So I turned the t-shirt rack and put it between us, which is normally how I do it in most shows, because it's the only way to fit me, another person, and all our stuff behind a 6-foot table. I have a much better t-shirt rack now than I used to. But still, space is space. Also noticed that the folks next to us who wrote adventure fantasy novels and had hair sticks and stuff like that, they had some nice shelves. Like the shelves that my books go on, I've got 2. I've got one that's like 2 feet wide, and then one that is like 3 feet wide. But I can't do a 3-foot wide shelf on a 6-foot table because I don't have room for anything else. But they had 2 18-inch wide, 6-tier deep shelves, which you'll see these at some point because I bought one. But it definitely will help me display my books better on smaller tables. So I asked her, I was like, yo, can you, if you don't mind me asking, can you tell me where you got your shelves from? Because I need to get these. And she's like, yeah. She's like, it's just search this on Amazon, but I'll make sure I get it to you before the show's over. And just fast forward Sunday at 3:30 in the afternoon, right before the show was about to end, she like pulled it up on Amazon, and I turned around and ordered it right there. But that was good. Got up and walked around and did the dangerous thing of shopping before the show started. And, you know, a lot of my shopping is just buying stuff for other people. Like, I've got a friend that collects Gengar stuff, so I got a Gengar keychain. And I've got friends that collect Naruto, so I got a Naruto wallet for some pins for others. I got myself a Kuma statue from One Piece, because Kuma's my homeboy right now. I also got a Red Hood Mego doll, like one of the like Barbie and Ken style dolls of Red Hood, which is kind of cool. I will say that my Kuma statue that I bought was broken inside the box, even though it was sealed, but I blamed that 89% on the manufacturing, because Kuma has 400 pounds of top and like 2 pounds of bottom. Like, his ankles are toothpicks and he's like carrying a bull up top. I mean, this dude is girthy. But either way, Sunday night when I took it out of the box, it was broken, and now he's all hot glued together, but it's cool. Good talk. Did that. We, got through those things. The Turner snacks were already kicking in pretty early at breakfast, and then Mrs. Turner came by to offer me what was it? French press coffee. I was still nursing some kind of gross hotel coffee, and she offered me French press, and she was going to go get it for me. which she doesn't need to do. And I'll just say this, I was talking with somebody how weird it is, people having parents. My parents have been gone for so long that it's always weird to me to be around parents. And I know parents aren't perfect and parents are flawed and they make mistakes and they're not, not always right. But like having a mom offer me coffee is so weird. Just because like my mom's been gone 15 years and my dad's been gone 13 years. So it's a whole thing. Like neither of my parents got to see me be an author. So it's just like, it's a lifetime ago. But anyway, she offered me French press coffee and she said, do you want cream or sugar? And I was like, no, I'll just take it black. She's like, well, what if it's too strong? And I just looked at her with the most serious face. I was like, well, then I'll get stronger. But y'all, it was too strong. I drank it and it was wonderful. But I was like, you know what? I'm not saying that again. I will 100% take a cream and sugar next go round because hoorah. That stuff was, my hair's longer now just because it was that serious. Show opened Saturday and there are two people groups that basically keep me coming back to Captain's Comics Expo. The Turners, which I've previously mentioned, and a dude named, I'm just going to call him Al for purposes of privacy. Al and I have had at least an hour and a half to 2 hour conversation every time I've ever been at this show. I've seen him go through 5 years of life, of changes, of ups and downs. And I've heard some stuff and seen some struggles, and we minister to each other and we encourage each other. So literally about 5 minutes into the show on Saturday, Al shows up and we have, not kidding, an hour and 50 minutes straight conversation. Now, during this time, probably 8 people tried to come up and buy things or come up and browse, and the conversation just kept going. That's no complaining. That's just like, you know what? That's what I'm here for. Y'all can circle back. But we had a good long conversation. We talked about faith. We talked about where Doctor Who is. We talked about different things, that people have recommended. We talked about different struggles and the right way to share faith with people. And at one point in time, a woman had came up and she was looking at stuff, and then she just stopped looking at the table and she just started listening to the two of us. And I stopped and I said, hey, was there anything I could help you with or you want me to get for you? And she's like, oh no, I just want to see your answer to this question. And so she was just literally there to listen to how we were talking about things. And it was good. That lady jumped into the conversation though, and she stayed around till about the time that he left too. But we talked for an hour, almost solid 2 hours, and yeah, I'm gonna email him the outline or the rough version of the Dungeons and Dragons book as I've got so far. But yeah, it was a good conversation, and genuinely speaking, the Turners and Al are basically the main reasons I'll go to this show continually. And I get it that it's, it can't be about people because people might not always show up, or life might change, or situations and circumstances be different. But I find it hard for me to not show up when I know that people are counting and caring. Now, here's the thing. Out of the 5 years I've known Al, he's only communicated with me once in like a vague anonymous email or Facebook message in between shows. 9 times out of 10, we're just like, we're waiting this year. If you've ever watched Sandman, it's like talking to Hob Gadlin of like, we just wait and come back to the same spot every year. But it was good. It was good. We sold some shirts. Carmen was selling her Disney pins, and you know what? She did good. I'm just going to say this kid straight up killed it. she was selling her pins, and she made about as much money selling her pins as I made for the whole booth for the weekend. Not quite, but still, she did a good amount. And she was doing a pretty good job as a salesperson. She has little bags for her pins and stickers and refill kits, the whole deal. Special shout out to the Simpsons. Jordan and Christine Simpson, who aren't just Charleston exclusive people. Like they're all over the place, and they will show up and be supportive about everywhere. Between Florence, Fayetteville, wherever they'll get around. But they saw that my daughter was selling these pins, and she uses these Disney and Marvel things called adorbs or adorbles or whatever, little tiny figures. They showed up and brought a whole box of the pin toppers that Carmen was actually making her pins with. So they just blessed her with stock, and that was like, she was over the moon about that, and she was so excited about it. So thank you, Jordan and Christine, especially for that as well. Also, Miss Lynn had mentioned to me before we got there on Saturday or Friday, somewhere in there, that whenever it was lunchtime, that their family had me covered. And y'all, their family made brisket, pulled pork, mac and cheese, slaw. I'm just talking banging food, like top tier, top notch. And Carmen and I just sat there, and like, that was probably the best con food we'd ever had. And it was a joyous day. After that, I got to work on making a Psyduck DuckTales cover and had a good time with that. Mr. Turner also caught me one time when I was running to get coffee to tell me that some of the podcasts helped him get through some times and some stuff that he was going through. And I don't ever put too much stock into what I do in terms of like thinking it's overly powerful or anything, but having a voice that you can listen to and that you know would listen to you helps, and I'm grateful. So if there's any of you that are encouraged by any of the podcasts we put out or anything, I'm honestly genuinely grateful for that. Also, I thought it was fire that at the convention center, there was a janitor lady who was walking around cleaning, and about maybe an hour into the day, she fully embraced everything that was going on, and she made a cape out of a trash bag, put on big blue rubber gloves, and walked around like a superhero as she was cleaning. And that was top notch, super cool stuff. Also, the voice actor for All for One, from My Hero Academia, who's also a character on, Full Metal Alchemist, and I want to say he's Crocodile in One Piece, but he came by my booth, and so that was interesting. Just cool thing. But yeah, we finished the day out pretty strong on Saturday, and good encouragements. Somebody stopped to pray for us. People enjoyed the stuff. I didn't sell a lot of books. Like, realistically, let's say if I sold books, I sold 3 tops. Stickers were popular. I could literally barely give bracelets away. It was kind of that serious with that. But as the show wound down for the day, what did we do? We went over, and it again had been raining back and forth. Oh, it was raining really bad when we left Saturday. We went and got dried off, sort of, after we walked through the rain. And then Carmen and I looked, and we thought we found a mall online, because if I'm trying to get some exercise in, y'all, I'm trying to get back to getting 10,000 steps a day, and it was raining outside. So, on Friday, I got 16,000 steps. I was aiming, and at this point in time, I had 3 for the day. So we were going to go find a mall and walk around, then get some dinner. And the mall, air quotes, that we found on Mount Pleasant was an outdoor mall where you had to walk outside between all the shops, meaning you were just going to get wet. So we ended up just at a Barnes and Noble or a Books A Million, whichever one. I'm going to go with Barnes and Noble. We ended up at a Barnes and Noble there. We walked around for like an hour at the Barnes and Noble. And then my daughter loves Five Below, so we went to Five Below for a minute. And we got her a crumble cookie. And then we went and ate at a Mexican restaurant called Agave Cantina. And honestly, it looked really fancy on the outside, so I was kind of worried that it would be too fancy for us to actually eat in, but it wasn't. And I am not kidding you guys. She ordered a beef burrito with some whatever. I don't know. It was like just a standard burrito. I ordered a cheesesteak burrito thing that was kind of great. But I'm not kidding you. They had our food in 4 minutes. From the time we ordered to the time it was on the table, they had our food in 4 minutes. And that was bonkers. Like, we ordered the food, and then about a minute later, I ordered some cheese dip, and the food got there before the cheese dip. It was that serious, and it was magnificent, and it was great. And then we left there, and we went to go walk, because I'm still trying to be less fat. And there's a battleship just past a baseball stadium, and we hadn't actually ever walked over there before, so we walked all the way to the battleship. And my only problem is I was wearing flip-flops, and it had rained, and there were puddles, and my feet were gross, and I was not enjoying my quality of life in that. And also, it was probably way too wet, and Carmen wasn't feeling good, and so it was like, by the time we got back, it was like, yeah, this was kind of dumb and stupid. We both played a good amount of Pokemon Z to A over the weekend. I'll probably be doing Faith and Fandom Bite Size about that coming up tomorrow or the day after. But yeah, we went to that restaurant, and I got up early on Sunday morning and made a post for church. And I went to Walgreens and got Carmen some Dayquil because she was not feeling the best, and let her sleep a little bit. And we got some breakfast, and then as Carmen wanted to go to use the bathroom, I was finishing my breakfast. I said, "Here's the key. I'll come meet you in the room. Just start packing up your stuff." John Hairston, who's one of my favorite painters, and he was a painter that was at the first con I ever attended, like 16 years ago. But we've been doing shows together for the last 13 years, and he listens to me, and like, he painted an Almost Famous painting for my house. And he's one of the people I will always speak to, and we always get along real well. And, he came and sat down at my table, and I was literally about to leave, and he sat down to talk, and we talked for 45 minutes. I was technically late getting to the show, because we were talking about cultural differences with churches and politics. We were talking about racism. We were talking about relationships and family and parental expectations and dating and all these, like, we just had a really good heart to heart conversation. And it was encouraging. And he even said, I bet as a pastor, you don't get to have real conversations with people, where you're not working. And I was like, you know what? Sometimes, man. We had a good conversation. Yeah, really did. There was a really cool Chill Chuck cosplayer on Sunday from Delicious in Dungeon, so I thought that was really neat. There was a couple there was a free run and 2 ferns. I did a nice free run sketch, I believe, on Sunday, and Carmen was doing some sketches, and some of them were really good. She was struggling with some. And I've said this before and I'll say it again. Sunday morning especially, but most Sunday shows aren't necessarily going to be my crowd, because the people who would normally be there, who would be interested in something Jesus-ish, are probably at church on Sunday, and they're not coming to a Comic-Con after church because they probably got other church stuff after church. So it was a very quiet day in terms of stuff for me. Now, I say all that, and I went to the bathroom and Carmen sold 3 t-shirts. So whatever. But, it was a lot of just talking to people, talking to Joe Reese at the back, talked to Tim Showers a little bit, just other artists and friends that I've had. But it was still a good, encouraging time. And to be able to see how God was moving. Some things felt off and hard and, just distant, and I don't know if it was just me and life or where things were, but, that's one thing I've learned. You can't expect everything to be what it used to be. That you got to be able to take every situation as it is and not always compare it to what it was. Every time I've come to this show, it's been different, but it's never been a waste. Super honest, it's not in my top financial shows. Again, Carmen did really well, especially for her. But it also helps when you've got a cute little freckle-faced kid selling adorable things versus an almost 45-year-old man pushing Bible studies. It's the vibe is different. But it was good, and I was grateful. I will say this: I had one awkward moment, and it was I don't know if I got too excited or if I scared that kid or something. But 9 times, like, if you're wearing a 21 Pilots outfit or cosplay, I'm giving you free stuff. It's just how science works. And there was a little girl that was wearing a 21 Pilots t-shirt. And she could have been 11, 12, 13. I don't know. She's walking around by herself. And I was like, oh, hey, you have a Clancy shirt. I said, hey, I've got 3 21 Pilots stickers. One from Robot Voices, one from Holding On to You, and one from Car Radio. Or Oldie Station. And I said, would you like one? And she said, I don't think I want stickers. And just walked away. And I was like, oh no, was that weird? Did I mess that up? Another thing that almost always happens too, and it's just really is, anytime a cosplay contest or something like that happens at a con, it usually is going to kind of like nerf the actual sales, transactions, and interactions with people. Especially on my end, because my booth directly faces the stage. So anybody watching this stuff is standing directly in front of the booth. From like the last hour and a half on, like, there's no access to my booth. So it is what it is. The showrunner's wife did come by and buy a pin from Carmen right at the close. But past that, it was kind of like the last hour and a half was like, okay, mentally check yourself. We packed up and we, Mr. Turner, I know he likes DuckTales, and I had bought some DuckTales #1 sketch covers, and I'd made one with Psyduck on it, but then the other day I made one with Darkwing, on top of Scrooge's Money Bin. And so I walked over to go give it to, Mr. Turner. And when I see Mr. Turner turn around, he is holding a, let's say, 3 foot by 5 foot painting from one of my favorite painters. That was a gift to him. And that was a blessing to him. And this is like, I know how much that painting costs retail. And it was just a big blessing to see that. I was like, wow, just loving on people who are doing the good work. And I was just grateful to be there. Um, it was a blessing the whole weekend overall. Carmen had a good time. I had a good time. It was encouraging to be encouraged by friends, and hopefully to be a blessing to some other folks as well. Oh, I did meet some folks who normally go to Southeast Game Exchange, and they posted uh, like a photo with my shirt and stuff, and they were just really cool too. It was a few of them, and they even brought their parents by too. Some folks that work with the Rushmore guys. There's just it was some good ministry connections to be able to be part of. But we packed up and we rolled out, and I think we were on the road by 5. We stopped in somewhere. I don't know. We stopped somewhere not far from Charleston to go to Five Guys for dinner. Carmen had never been to Five Guys, and we wanted to go there. I drove badly, like straight up lost my cognitive reasoning on how I'm supposed to drive, and I almost caused an accident. I wasn't asleep. I wasn't dumb. Like, I just literally forgot how to science a car for a second. I'm okay. But we went to Five Guys and we ate, and there's a drive-through coffee shop called Lodi, which I was checking out their menu. I love coffee, so I was gonna go check out this Lodi coffee. And they are drive-through coffee place, so they close at 6 p.m. and we got there at 6:06, which sucked. But then, so I just turned around and went to 7 Brew and then got back on the road. We drove back. Carmen played Pokemon almost the whole way back. Also, the night when we did our walk with the battleship, Carmen started asking me about who started the Nazis. Why did they start? Why did World War One happen? Why did World War II happen? And then she got into ice, and then she started saying that all of her friends, like she said that this was her exact phrase. She said, "If the Nazis happened today, everybody I love would be gone." And she started asking me about what ICE does, because she'd heard some things, but not a lot. And she started asking me about immigration, and she started asking me about terrorism. And she's 12, about to be 13, but she's the size of a first grader. But she is just carrying these heavy weights that you never know, because she normally doesn't talk about this stuff. But see, it was worth it for the trip for me just to be able to have these kind of conversations with her on that front. And we drove back. We stopped at Buc-ee's and got coffee, and I filmed a video. After I posted our Buc-ee's photo on the way there, a dude named Roshan, who I met at GalaxyCon, messaged me to ask, is Buc-ee's really worth the hype? So I recorded a Buc-ee's video, which I'm going to work on after this, and post that for him too, just to show him what Buc-ee's is like. It was a good trip. Overall, it was encouraging. It was a blessing, especially the Turners and the Simpsons and John Hairston. Y'all were huge blessings to me. Before I get out of here, though, and wrap up this, I want to say thank you to our Patreon supporters for helping make all that we do possible. Jessica Luttrell with Cosplay for Christ, Jackie Kraft, Kelly Townsend, Alan Wallace, Fab Quack, Rivka and Tristan Birch, Dorothy Martin Winston, Michelle Stewart, Miss Lynn Turner, David Brooks, Jeff Weimer, Colin Sproles, Jamie Montgomery, the Coleman family, Jonathan Herman, Ron Petit, Gear Saber Cosplay, Scott Ward, Alicia Glenn, Jay Sheed, Jason Crutchfield, Mike Perna, Todd Turner, John Jacobs is in there somewhere, Zach Harris, Caleb Grimm, Jeanette Skaggs, Jason Bullock, Christina Ray, Sarah Lewis, Patrick Gale, Rebecca Godlove, and Adam Davis. Thank you all for loving, supporting, and encouraging in all the amazing ways that you do. Some of this weekend was probably seeds planted. Some of these were probably seeds watered. But I can say this, that whatever God grows out of these circumstances, all of you helped make possible. And I am forever and eternally grateful for that. Our next con, unless something changes, I've got some potential ones to jump into, but I just don't know if I want to do it, and force myself into situations I don't need to be in. But, our next con will be GalaxyCon Richmond, which we will have a discussion panel, and, Geek Church. There's a con in Lumberton in 2 weeks. And I'm like, it's in my town and it's $60 and I kind of feel like I should go, but we'll see. But yeah, the rough draft for, Bite Size Volume 2 is being edited. Got a text waiting on me right now, that popped up while I was recording this. And, I'm currently, 15 or 16 chapters into our Dungeons and Dragons book. So, all the things. But thank you for taking time to listen, for praying, for travel, for all the things. I love y'all. I appreciate you. And I hope, as 3 John verse 2 says, "Dear friends, I pray that you may enjoy good health, that all may go well with you, even as your soul is getting along well." And as I told Mr. Turner before I left, rest is like manna. It's only good for that day. So make sure y'all get plenty. And I hope to see you all at a con real soon.